Hello everyone and welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel. As with you always, this is Rich doing another video today on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today wherever you are in this great world. We are going to talk about XRP. And I got to start with this. Settlement incoming. Everybody's saying that on Thursday, we are going to get settlement in the Ripple versus SEC case because of this closed door meeting. But we've seen these meetings come and go multiple times in the past, only to end up disappointed. I think we're going to see the same thing happen once again. I would love to see that settlement happen already, but I think it's going to happen when we all least expect it. Not on a specific day. Palau CBDC on the XRP ledger to issue DLT-based government bonds and cross-border settlement of those digital bonds. Will receive aid from Japan's Ministry of Economy. You know, every single day there's more growth around Ripple and those payment rails. And they seem to be expanding very fast now. Partners of Ripple expanding, Ripple themselves expanding, and yet people still don't see how big this is actually becoming. BNP Paribas signs cross-border payment deal with Ant International. So you see, BNP Paribas and Ant International have formed a strategic partnership to enhance cross-border payment solutions for merchants and consumers in Europe. BNP Paribas will enable merchants that use its acquired service to accept payments from more than 25 international mobile partners via Ally Pay. Again, more and more rails. Confirmation that Ripple and Stellar both are for institutions. In a BNP Paribas blockchain overview presentation, Ripple and Stellar are both classified as open protocols for institutions. XRP and Xlm are institutional assets that retail was lucky enough to get access to. You know, everybody always thinks it's just Ripple for the banks, but Stellar's moving in that same direction. Ripple is moving towards banking the unbanked. They're both going after the same goal, and they're both working together. And we are just lucky enough to have gotten in when we did. Trump's VP pick is a Bitcoiner. Senator J.D. Vance disclosed owning 100K to 250K Bitcoin in 2021. And even Brad Garlinghouse said, this is what more elected officials should be doing, looking at technology as a way to extend American exceptionalism, rather than actively enable an unelected official to do the opposite. So here's J.D. Vance on Gensler. Take a listen to this.
If there's a candidate for worst person, in my view, at least in terms of my substantive disagreements, I'm sure he's like a nice guy, is Gary Gensler. Okay, so Gary Gensler is sort of the complete opposite of my view. And there are two problems that I have with Gary. One of which is that I think he wants to inject politics way too much into the actual business of securities in the United States of America. But in some ways, the more fundamental issue, or at least the most relevant issue for this particular conference is the approach that Gary has taken to regulating blockchain and crypto seems to be almost the exact opposite of what it should be. And I'm oversimplifying a little bit, but the question the SEC seems to ask in regulating crypto is this a token with utility? And if it's a token with utility, then they seem to want to ban it. And if it's a token without utility, they don't seem to care. I almost think we should be the opposite here, right? I worry about...
Take notice how he talked about utility. So the headline is that Trump's VP pick is a Bitcoiner. But then you hear him talk, and he talks about utility. And I like what he said about Gary Gensler, because Gary works for the big banks. Gary works for a handful of politicians that want to crush crypto, because they're also getting paid by the big banks. Ripple in Washington, D.C., the White House, in October 17th, 2018, Trump officials formally met with Ripple 2 months earlier, former U.S. President Bill Clinton headlined Ripple-hosted conference Ripple Swell in 2018. In 2021, Ripple added former U.S. Treasurer Board of Directors Rosie Rios, serving under the Obama administration from 2009 to 2016. In 2022, Ripple welcomed Michael Warren, who served in the administration of 2 U.S. presidents, to Board of Directors. In 2023, Ripple tapped former Obama White House official to head U.S. public policy, Lauren Believe. So you see Ripple's ties to the White House already. And we already know that Trump was already working with Ripple back in 2018. I think it put us on the path to the digital dollar already. But then things had to slow down in 2020. And that's why the Ripple versus SEC case got started in the first place. That's my honest view of all of that. Because Ripple was absolutely crushing it all the way up until 2020. Something had to slow them down. Now, while we're on the subject, when it comes to Trump, take a listen to World Economic Forum's Yuval Noah Harari. If Trump becomes president again in 2024, it will be the final death blow to the global order. Take a listen to this.
Are you concerned that Trump might be elected again shortly?
I think it's very likely. And if it happens, it is likely to be the kind of like the death blow to what remains of the global order. And he says it openly. Now, again, it should be clear that many of these politicians, they present a false dichotomy, a false binary vision of the world, as if you have to choose between patriotism and globalism, between being loyal to your nation and being loyal to some kind of, I don't know, global government or whatever.
So that's why they want to get Trump out of the way. Now, I always tell you, invest in XRP because you're investing in what the elites are looking at. And a lot of the elites are on board with globalism, but some elites are not on board with that. So you got to pick your battles when you're talking about XRP. I continue to stay invested because I know it's going to get tied in with most of the governments all around the world. We already see that happening through CBDCs. We even see how Ripple has so many ties to the US government already, previous and even upcoming, in my opinion. But the problem is that Trump gives you hope, and globalists don't like when you have hope, because you want the world to change for the better. They want it to change for the worse. They want crisis. They want crime. They want everything to come crashing down so they can present you with the solution, such as digital IDs and social credit scores. And, you know, most people don't want that. And Trump is the opposite of that. And that's why people like Trump. He brings hope. So results from an extensive survey by the BIS involving 86 central banks highlights a significant increase in digital currency experiments and pilot programs. What's going on right now is the BIS is fast tracking. They want to get everything put in place as soon as tomorrow. At the same time, you have SWIFT dragging their feet, not ready to upgrade anything. The problem is the BIS already has all these other countries moving ahead, leaving SWIFT behind. And how is the BIS able to do that? Through RippleNet technology and through cryptocurrencies like XRP, these utility-driven cryptocurrencies. That's why things are moving fast now. Then there's Larry Fink. Bitcoin is digital gold and a hedge against geopolitical situations, a legitimate financial instrument, an instrument investment for when countries are debasing their currency. Last gasp coming. You know, he went on there and he said this, and I think it's just to herd the retail investor into Bitcoin. But Larry already knows that he's here for one reason: utility. He also wants to make sure he's part of the fourth industrial revolution. He wants to make sure that he has part of the new financial system. He wants to make sure he's early into it. And you know, when he talks about Bitcoin as digital gold, it's all bullshit. Because once tokenization of gold happens, that's the end of Bitcoin as digital gold. Because now you'll be able to move the value of gold all around the world in a matter of seconds. And it's going to be happening on the XRP ledger. XRP ledger ready to adopt tokenized gold, silver in Q3 2024. It is now July, so we are currently in the third quarter of this year until end of September. So once gold becomes tokenized, that's going to just pull all that narrative away from Bitcoin. Then this is happening as well. The latest class action lawsuit against Bitfinex and Tether presents evidence that they use bots to inflate Bitcoin prices with artificial USDT. Many others and I have been telling you all for ages, when Tether crashes, Bitcoin crashes. And we knew this all along. And what's happening right now all around the world? Every single country is moving away from Tether. They're clearing the path for, USDC and also Ripple's new stable coin as well. People already know Tether is backed by nothing. They know Tether is tied to illicit activity and fraud. So as we push ahead, there's going to come a time when Tether comes crashing down and it's going to take Bitcoin with it. It's just a matter of time. And this is why I tell retail investors to pull away from Bitcoin while they still can. Let the institutions lose their money inside of Bitcoin when the crash happens. But it's too big to ignore at this point. Every single day, we get more and more evidence against Tether. And every single country at some point is just going to outlaw Tether. Regulations will bring the end of Tether and the mass adoption of utility-driven cryptocurrencies. And that's why I stay invested in XRP and XDC and XLM and HBAR. I invest in the future, not the past. And everything's great until it isn't. You ever take notice to that? Cable TV, I'm sure it was great at one point. Then satellite came along, and it was way better than cable TV. Then streaming came along, and it ended satellite pretty much, because it was better than satellite and cheaper than satellite. Everything has its day, is what I'm telling you. And I think Bitcoin had its day. The death of Bitcoin will come through technology advancing, things getting better. Everybody wants the same thing right now: fast, cheap, and secure. What does Bitcoin offer? Slow and expensive. Right there should tell you Bitcoin is not the future. But we are XRP investors. We are going to get rich either way. No matter how anything plays out from here, it ends with us getting rich. But until it all happens, you got to stay patient, stay positive, so we can get rich together. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.